Some enormous announcements today. If you missed David Pogue, he showed us the new Yahoo Tech site, which killed me because I built the first Yahoo Tech site, but I got over it. It looks really, really good. He did an amazing job. You should visit it. And he announced some of his staff and really launched it here at the show, here at Kids at Play, at the Kids at Play Summit. We saw Curio announce 2 devices, an Android phone for kids, and the first tablet with wireless communications. They did a partnership with Verizon. So if you thought it was scary that your kids were on tablets with Wi-Fi in their house, now they're everywhere with wireless capabilities, which is really interesting. We saw Kindoma, an app for parents and grandparents to share, grandparents and kids to read to each other, sort of FaceTime overlay where you're reading stories and moving a hand together. And they announced today a drawing. Think about it as Doodlecast for grandma and kids. Speakaboos, new ways to get kids great apps out without parents having to search through the 4,000 dinosaur apps online. So we had a really big day of announcements. You will see, if you missed anything, all our videos go up probably within 2 weeks on Kids at Play Summit or Mommy Tech Summit. And for the first time at the show, over in the Venetian, we launched Mommy Tech TV, where Andrea Smith anchored for 2 days, where we had 5-minute intervals of products shown at CES from a woman's perspective. So my personal goal, after being at CES for 35 years, is to see longer lines at the women's bathroom. Can anybody help me with that? So I'm going to pass this clicker, and I think we're ready. To talk about probably the coolest thing. How many people have a wearable on right now? How many people don't know what a wearable is? How many people are just wowed by the wearables that they've seen on the show floor? We're going to talk a lot about the definition of what wearable means, but I wanted to give you, this panel's job is to give you a perspective from many different perspectives. Each one of these folks helps us work on our fashion wear show, which is our piece de resistance, tomorrow evening at 6:30. If you really, really want to stay and need a ticket, let me know, where wearable tech comes alive. In the Venetian, we have mannequins dressed up, simulating the fashion show, letting you know that fashion is changing and technology is making it very personal, both on the production side, on the shopping side, and on the end product side. And you're going to see a little bit of all of that. So the first thing I want to do is give each panelist a chance to tell you about what they do in this world, and then we'll open it up to some freewheeling discussion. And I think what we'll do is have the panelists go up to the podium as they present, and Jennifer Demore from Artefact, based in Seattle, is up first.
Great. Do we use this clicker here?
Clicker, you use the down arrow, whatever makes you happy.
Great, and we have how long? 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Ooh, I'll go fast. Great, well, hello, my name's Jennifer Darmore. I'm a design director at Artefact. And over the last, I would say, over 10 years, I've been focusing on the wearable space. These are a couple of the products, looking at all the way from the soft goods, how to integrate technology into the garments that we wear, all the way through the software and services to the hardware and devices. So these are some of the projects that I've been working on. So in general, I've been working within a framework that includes these 3 big opportunity areas. One is around beauty, and what Julian and I were just talking about, the idea of wearability and how we can add that into products that are intended to wear. Around this idea of meaning, so it's not just a matter of wearing these products, but adding significant value and making these experiences really meaningful to your life. And then the third is this huge, vast, unexplored area is around periphery, where now that we're taking technology and putting it onto our body, how do we use the body as interface and connect it to larger ecosystems? So a couple of the examples of the products that I've been working on. that really encompass these three areas. One is what's called Move, which is a Pilates shirt that has integrated sensors. This gray area is a stretch sensor in the front. There's stretch sensors in the back and or the sides and the back. And there's also haptic feedback. So together they measure and assess your movements. Pilates is all about absolute precision in movement. And it gives you feedback in the general area that you need to improve in the moment without disrupting your move. Another idea, it's not just about creating this interaction with the device, it's also taking information and data like biometric data and being able to present it in a way that's not only easy to understand, but also actionable. So this is a product that takes heart rate and interprets it into a color, so based on your heart rate zone, and you just can look at it, know what zone you're in, and take action immediately at a glance. And then third and lastly, I think that we have a huge opportunity not only to measure ourselves or take the quantified self type data and create these experiences for ourselves, but also we have an opportunity to add other types of services to create completely new experiences. Like, for example, this is a new product concept that we're currently working on that is focusing on taking biometric data combined with your phone and applying a payments service to it as well.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, save your questions because we're going to get back to that, and we're going to bring up, I'll tell you in a second, our phone halo, Chris Herbert, who's come up with another fantastically useful situation. So go ahead, Chris.
I'm Chris Herbert. I'm a loser. I lose things so much. I created a company to help me keep track of my stuff. How we kind of fit into this entire wearables technology is we see that we can integrate this tracking technology and helping you keep track of the items that you already have on you, such as sunglasses, eyeglasses. We all have that older parent that is constantly looking for their glasses every day, and looking at how we can integrate our beacon, our tracking technology into common day items that I think we need to look beyond just what's attached to you all the time, but what is also you're carrying all around, such as your laptop bag, your purse, and more. We've had a great year. We're relatively new, but we've sold over 150,000 devices with our tracking technology inside of it, and have over 100,000 users that have together helped find over 1 million items. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Jillian, another radically different look.
Am I on? Yeah? Okay. I might be a little longer, so I'll try to move quickly. So I'm with MC10, and I'm going to talk you through a bit about what we do and some of the applications we're working on. So at MC10, we're focused on switching around the whole paradigm of how humans interact with their electronics. So historically, we've always conformed to our electronics, and that's because the electronics, like the cell phones that we all have in our pockets or purses, are boxy and rigid. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could have high-performance, durable electronics that were ultra-thin, stretchy, and conformal? That's exactly what we're working on at MC10. So we're a technology partner. We work with companies that span from the CPG industry to healthcare to sports. Hopefully many of you have seen the Checklight Impact Indicator for contact sports that we launched with Reebok. So our commercial partners launch our technology under their brands, and we work with them in both design services and co-development arrangements. So there's a couple examples. It's 2 a.m. and your newborn feels warm. You and your husband are struggling to take her temperature without turning on the lights, and she's squirming around, so one of you is trying to hold her still while the other's trying to hold the thermometer in place to take a reading. Her temperature seems to be rising, so you go back in several times during the night to take it again. I'm sure many of you can empathize with this story. So what if you could put a small baby soft sensor on her that continuously monitors her temperature and will send you an alert on your smartphone when it crosses a threshold that you set? Or what about basal body temperature monitoring for fertility planning? Any woman who's done this can attest to the nuisance of having to take her temperature each morning before she moves at all. So now, instead of doing that, she can just put on a small discrete sensor which will continuously monitor her temperature and obviate the need for both daily readings and charting. A smartphone application will tell her, give both a confirmation when ovulation has occurred and give a prediction for the subsequent month. So those are just two examples of applications that we've worked on in the mom and baby space. But without a focus on wearability, all of these connected health products will just be faddish gadgets. So at MC10, we really start by developing a deep understanding so we can have empathy for our consumers' world. With a fertility application, for example, it's critical that the sensor is discreet, that it won't get caught in a woman's bra and dislodge when she's walking, and that it's accurate enough that it'll pick up even the most minute of temperature shifts. So conventional electronics are limited in their ability to meet these requirements, or really to continuously monitor physiological parameters in general, because one, they're not comfortable, so that results in a lot of compliance issues, and two, they can't tightly couple to the body, so you get inferior data, and they often dislodge. So with our stretchy and conformal electronics, we're uniquely positioned to meet these requirements, so we get better data, and more importantly, that results in better insights. So then this in turn enables us to make our partners, many of whom, actually probably most of whom, are not technology companies, both innovators in their categories and then also leaders in this field of wearables.
Thank you. And thank you so much. And if you want to check out Checklight, they're in the sports and fitness area at the Reebok booth, and it's pretty amazing as a concussion sensing device. Judy, did you want presentation or you want to show?
I could do that. I think it'd be better if I do a show.
Okay, so I can turn this, if you want to put your device, what's this? Oh, magic, this one. Okay.
Maybe I can go. I don't want to go.
Oh, did you want me to move over?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and that will
Oops,
let
sorry.
you, okay, so that will let you project. Judy Tomlinson just launched here at the show after much hard work, Zazzy Gems and FashionTeq.
Hello, everyone. My company is called FashionTeq, and we are a smart jewelry company. And what does that mean? I get all that question. I'm tired of talking because what is smart jewelry? Well, I think smart jewelry is something that will tell you who is calling, texting, emailing, posting, and something that will allow me to express myself and also let me know when I leave my phone at home and not leave the house without it. So what I'd like to do is demonstrate our wearable. I don't know if everybody can see.
I'll operate for you.
Yes,
Let's see how
please.
we do together. So you just right under here. How's that, everybody? Okay? Okay.
So, okay, so the Z means Zazzy. I have a wearable called Zazzy, and that icon you see is our app. What I wanted to show you, and I'm gonna move my hand a little bit, Robin.
Okay, I'm with you.
So with the Zazzy app, women like to have the functionality of changing. Thank you, Robin. Changing your dresses, changing your clothes, changing how do you feel about wearing your jewelry. I don't want to wear the same thing all the time, but I do have one Zazzy. So what I did is I made sure and made it modular. So this is what you call the Zazzy. So now I have the ring.
Okay, I think I turned into infrared or something.
It's okay.
Okay. Oh, I see. I see.
All right.
Carrie? Can you come up here?
Robert, you can
Oh, it's
call me.
working. Okay.
You can call me. Okay, so, all right, so we have the Zazzy ring. And I'm going to talk a little about the design while we go through this. Okay, so here's the ring. I made the design to a little bit, where there's a charger. The ring shank is down below. You can wear it, and of course, it's your cocktail ring, okay? Now, I don't want a cocktail ring. Now, I would like to have, and actually, I just got a phone call. There it is. Robert is my lucky number 8. I don't want anybody to know who Robert is. So I have my discrete image there. Okay, so now I can actually put it as, oh, I got another message. So now I can have a necklace. And I can also have a bracelet. So it's a little slide in and snap. And there you go. Let me see.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
You will. I'm finding it.
I find it.
I'm probing here.
And I'm sorry for moving so much.
There you go.
Okay. So the design, I started this idea in February. My background is engineering. I'm a woman. I like to wear jewelry. So equals Zazzy. So what I'd like to say is that I have an in-house jeweler. So the design is more boxy, but where we're at today, we're going to go smaller, and we're going to give it different forms and make it more jewelry-like. But what I have today is self-expression with a real-time images. We call them Z images, and it's e-paper. Jewelry doesn't turn off. So therefore, I chose e-paper for the display. Let's see, I'm trying to think of one more thing. A lot of women like to be social, so they can actually post their Zazzy image on Facebook within the app. And if their girlfriend has their Zazzy, they can actually download it through the Facebook app, touch on the image, goes into their app and into the wearable. So 2 girlfriends can wear the same image. You can share your image. You can tell people, I'm wearing this image, this is what I feel like, I'm wearing this heart for you. I know this sounds really silly, but, but really, I mean, it's fun. Thank you.
We're nothing if not full service. That one, first of all, you are all so awesome. And I know Chris had real reservations on being on Mommy Tech. So the one question I have to ask you is, all of this needs to be powered somehow. And so tell me quickly, each one of you, like, what do batteries mean to you? I mean, they drive me crazy. I just got something. So what does that mean to you?
I mean, we started out back in 2009 using regular Bluetooth. So this is the same technology that headsets use, extremely high power. And we did it originally rechargeable, so our battery lasted a great 3 days for something you want to try to forget about. So we now use, with Bluetooth Low Energy, we use coin cell, replaceable coin cell batteries. We're looking at the battery life is from 6 months to 2 years, and users can replace it, but they still have to go to CVS or get online, and that's a hassle. So I definitely see the battery as one of the biggest barriers in wearables becoming mainstream, because the battery is really preventing us from creating a lot of these beautiful designs and really having no limitations on size.
So I'm going to ask Chris this other, when we first met and talked about this, I'm going to ask him the other question. Sometimes you really do want your phone or your glasses and your wallet to be separated. My example, I walk into a bar, I hang up my coat, I want my glasses in my coat pocket. Is my phone going to start flipping out on me? What goes on?
So it's a great thing for us is learning experiences and constantly shipping out product and getting feedback from users. I think that's any really fantastic company does that. And so what we've done for our products is we have the intelligence on the software to realize that you might be at home by detecting that your Wi-Fi is connected to your phone or your office. So we can automatically disable alerts depending on your location. And then we filter out alerts. Let's say you don't have, you're not at your home, but you're constantly disconnecting, leaving your iron behind, coming back in contact, leaving it behind, coming back in contact. We automatically realize that pattern and filter out results. And so I think that's this pattern of having the intelligence on the phone with all these different sensors that is going to steadily increase year to year.
Right.
Gives us a lot of
Right.
advantages.
And I guess your device that can get smarter and smarter as your phone gets smarter about this, right?
Absolutely, it's just all about the software on the phone. You can have, no longer are we limited to buying this device and it's going to stay the same throughout the entire life cycle. You can do real-time updates and the experience for the user is on the phone entirely now. I think that's revolutionary.
Right. So, and how smart is this guy? So I buy these $1,500 glasses, right? And they train me, and the first thing I say to Google is, so if I lose them, what do I do? I said, where's the finder? And they said, well, there's no finder. And then I said, well, is there a data wiper? And then, no, there's no data wiper. I said, what were you thinking? So $1,500, I can't measure anything or find it either. So if anybody here is from Google, take notes. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk to Judy for a minute. Sunny Vu, who did the Misfit, who's also here, and it's a fitness bit that's about the size of a quarter, said to me, technology has to be invisible or beautiful. Respond to that, and as a jewelry creator.
Yes, I think it has to be beautiful, okay, and and also wearable, okay. And when it comes to batteries, I was just from your last question, for us, if you wear it, it's going to get wet. You're going to wash your hands. You're going to be in the rain, so it's probably best to have a rechargeable battery, and that's what we have, and have it water resistant, at least to a minimum water resistant.
So what's your biggest impediment now? If you could change one thing about the manufacturing process and the
Yes.
technology, go for it. Let them know.
Well, hardware means hard. It's hard. So I guess right now I have an in-house jeweler. We just didn't have the time to make it more jewelry-like. That's our next step as soon as I go back. And I think that's the main thing is like make it as if it's jewelry and unnoticeable that it's tech, really.
So shipping now, shipping soon?
We're looking at Q2, late Q2, early Q3. And we're on Dragon Innovations. We're taking pre-orders. So we...
Price point of around?
We're actually doing an early bird special, $119 for a gold cuff, $169 for a white cuff, and then the whole set, $249. What you would get is a Zazzy and the 3 attachments.
I love that it's sort of so versatile. Mm-hmm. So Jennifer, I know that you are very conceptual and have this sense of beauty. You mentioned meaning. And that intrigued me, and I hope it intrigued all of you. Tell us a little more about what meaning in your wearable means.
Well, I think that this is a huge unexplored, well, it's starting to be a little bit more explored. I think that if we're creating these new products, they have to be meaningful and they have to add significant value to your life so that we can move away from them being just novelties. And one of the thing that's happening is we're innovating tremendously in the hardware and the software space, and we're getting these things to work. And we're proving out the technology, which is completely amazing. But now that we're proving this out, we need to start really thinking about how they can solve problems in our lives and address needs in a way that adds value, that's sustainable value as well. I can't tell you how many early wearable products I have I have this drawer, I pull out this drawer and there's a stack and then there's all the recharging wires, and the novelty wears off in a week or 2 weeks because they're really interesting to use in that first couple weeks, but then they start to not add as much value to my life. And I think that's that's where meaning comes in, where we can start to really identify how we can not only place these, but from the software side, how we can add features and an experience that can add that more sustainable meaning.
Yeah, I will say when we started our first fashion wear show at CES 4 years ago, it was 2 engineers per model. I mean, it was, and 75 batteries. I mean, it was just, so we've come a long way, and I think these aware clothing, you're doing a fabulous job. And Jillian, you've probably done some of the most cutting-edge design as a company and working with new materials. Talk a little bit about the materials, the design process. Do you use 3D printing? What goes on in your back labs there?
Yeah, so our philosophy is really to enable our partners not to have to design around our electronics. So we can essentially create anything to work with what a partner wants to make. So for example, with Reebok, you know, they were interested in football, and because we were measuring impact, you know, for when somebody gets hit, it had to be tightly coupled to the head. So we were able to design something that would be tightly coupled to the head to get that signal, but also fit into a textile beanie, which is something that football players wear under their helmets. So we can really use any flexible polymers. We're starting to look at textiles, you name it, we have a lot of flexibility.
So look out for me. Well, first of all, let's talk about that other design community, the ones that do Fashion Week. How do we start to talk back and forth a little more? So we're Fashion Wear, they're Fashion Week. Where do you see us next year? You see them adopting anything, moving differently? Jennifer, you're probably good at that answer, the fashion community.
In terms of fashion being the garments versus the industrial design?
Yeah, like when does the fashion industry, I'll give you the best example that I can think of. It's like, I would like my jacket to get warm when I'm cold and cold when I'm warm. Like, are we close? I froze on that cab line. I don't know about the rest of you.
I think there are challenges for industrial design, for the consumer electronics, and there are another set of challenges for garments. Just cost of sensors is one example for to integrate into soft goods is really high right now. I was just speaking to a company that does stretch flexible sensors, and they're proving out the technology, but the cost per sensor is around 25 to 30 euros per sensor, which is extremely expensive. It'll drive your retail cost way up. We're talking about developing a $300, $400 product with sensors at that price. So I think just the price of the sensors alone is a challenge, and also some of the manufacturing processes is a challenge as well. We'll get there, but we have a lot of learning, and we need to come up with what that killer app is that will drive demand. And
who's educating the dry cleaners and Whirlpool,
Right.
who was just on our last panel, which I think has to happen too. I'm going to open it up to the rest of you for questions. You've drawn an amazing crowd for the end of the day, so kudos to you. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to walk for a minute.
Hi, I'm Mindy. I'm a researcher from Wagner Edstrom. Curious about retail strategy. Where do you guys think people want to buy these kind of products? Because right now, I do research, I try to find them, and they're basically at Best Buy and the Apple Store at the mall, and there's a lot of stuff not there. That's not where I like to buy stuff. Talk to me as an end consumer, where do you hope those will be?
I don't think I have an answer, but I can say that I definitely relate to that. So we actually don't build our own channels and go to the consumer, but I've thought a lot about it, and really aside from the Apple Store, Brookstone, Best Buy, and Amazon, there's not really anywhere you can buy these products. So I think you do have to get where the consumer is going to be. So whether it's...
Is Nordstrom an option? Is anyone talking to that?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think that, at least from my background in consumer products, before I got into this space, you know, that typically wouldn't be the answer because somebody's not going to Nordstrom looking to make that type of purchase. But since the channels don't exist now, you know, there's not a better option right now.
I'm just going to add, I think right now it's what I call, in publishing we used to call it an enthusiast market. And enthusiasts always start with people who are passionate, and those are the sports people. So you're seeing the first buyable things at Oakley, at Reebok, at Adidas, at all of the places that are sports and adventure oriented first. And I think we'll move very quickly because once people see, they'll be amazed. And the other space is also, and we didn't talk about it much here, but the boomer space, wearables and aging. If you were at our Silver Summit yesterday or you walk our show floor, the phenomenal opportunity. Other questions? I see one in the back. I can say anything.
Hi. I wanted to ask, are any of you guys working with the Qi Consortium in terms of like wireless charging for clothes?
Is the question, are we working with wireless charging for clothes?
Yeah, because I mean, the whole wires thing, I mean, I've got a cap, which is like really cool, bone induction and all of that. But with wires and all of that, it kind of becomes really clunky, and it sort of speaks to your point in that the fad sort of dies down. So it's like, it'll be great if, you know, you just have like a place in your room where you just dump all your wearables and they'll charge themselves. And then, you know, there is the durability aspect in terms of chucking it in the wash, but when it comes out, you want it to work rather than be like, oh, bugger, can't wear this. Got another 2 hours to wait before it's all charged up.
I can answer that. I'm working with a variety of wireless charging solutions for both software and hardware right now. And there are a couple challenges with that. It's still not perfect yet, but I agree it's definitely a better experience just to toss everything onto a plate or something and have everything charge. You still have to deal with a battery, and you have to find a battery that will hold enough capacitance, and you have to think about how long your charging time is and how close that connection is with the wireless charger. So there's still some challenges there, but it is nice that it gets rid of having that extra cord that you have to throw into your drawer that you keep.
I think the big thing with this idea of recharging methods and different battery technologies is really the key barrier for wearables going mainstream. I am not going to plug in my watch. I'm going to forget to do it, and most people will. And so if we can look at these alternative methods to elongate the charging and reduce, especially, I think the biggest opportunities are reducing the power draw of these screens and using the e-ink. I think that's a great initiative there. You can get incredible battery life. And I think seeing innovations on power reduction and will hopefully eliminate the need for recharging.
There are also a significant amount of innovations going into new ways of charging, like through kinetic energy, through heat. And if we're placing these on our body, we can really take advantage of the way our bodies move and behave and leverage that in all aspects of the experience, including how the device gets recharged.
So I absolutely love the baby thing. So I used to work on parenting, a lot of different parenting sites and stuff. So that, to me, it almost looked like a temporary tattoo. But is that a disposable thing, or is it washable and like?
Yeah, so what I showed you wasn't an exact representation of the industrial design because we want our commercial partner to be able to be the first to reveal what it looks like. But our sensors are not disposable, so they're all reusable, and then you use a double-sided adhesive to affix it to the body. And for that product, we did a special design that, you know, is specially designed for the size of a baby's body and can fit around the right curve under their armpit. And
is it just for just taking the biometrics, or is it, you know, monitoring it? I mean, because that could take care of SIDS and, you know, all the, I mean, everything. That could be fairly revolutionary, I think.
so the specific application that I was talking about was for monitoring the baby's internal temperature, but there are other sensing modalities that we're working on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about but washability, like, the other one was the, keeping it on for fertility, but that could be over the course of a month. So how does that not come off and you
So
can
they are
wash it?
waterproof, and it really depends on the use case which adhesive we select. But for example, with fertility, we wanted to design it so that a woman could leave it on for a week at a time.
Yeah.
And then she would take it off and switch it to the other arm.
Well, that's great. I think that could, like that, go like that.
Thank you. Last question, yes.
I'm just curious if you guys are working on any sort of other solutions for women specifically in mind, and/or have you seen anything out there that you find is trending, even on the show floor, that you feel like is interesting or something, aside from maybe the athletics and notifications?
You took my last question away. Yeah, go for it.
I think there's a tremendous opportunity. There is one product in particular that has a slightly different experience and value proposition than a lot of the fitness devices that I saw on the floor, which is the June concept. It's the UV watch or wristband that detects the UV light and gives you notification on whether you're being overexposed and what kind of SPF you should put on. I think those kinds of things, those kinds of solutions, that's where we're really starting to get into looking at using this kind of technology to solve other types of problems that move us beyond fitness and quantified self into other aspects of our life.
And I think that June is a great example of that's, I think, one of the first products that at least I've seen where the design is really gorgeous. It's something that even if it didn't track something, and I hadn't met you before today, but even if it didn't track something, it looks like a piece of jewelry you'd want to wear.
Yeah.
Technology's hidden.
Yeah. I think another one that interests me is the Interax on Muse, just because it's measuring brain engagement, and whether you're using that to measure student engagement in the classroom or your own brain training or your own keeping your brain alive, it's pretty interesting. Not quite wearable yet to the point that you'd want to be, but I've seen a couple of other companies with wearable brain monitors that look pretty beautiful.
There's a company called Melon
Yep.
who's creating one that it looks pretty wearable, but the interesting about the thing that they're doing is they're taking that data, and on the software side they're mixing it with other data and creating these new correlations. So now they're saying they're combining that data with your music library and what you listen to, and they're saying, hey, when you're listening to the Beatles, then your focus is much better. So they're starting to enter into this new opportunity where we can create more meaning by coming up with these combining data and services in a way that creates new correlations.
Judy, did you get to walk the floor at all?
No. I did not.
I saw a lot of watches, and I think that is very limited right now. I think that is kind of one of the obvious ones that people are going and saw the Pebble innovation, which really is drawing everyone in. But I think that in terms of wearables that are not being targeted right now, I think the purse is a huge opportunity because there's so much space. You don't have those battery constraints because you can have just a non-replaceable there. And you can really do some cool things. I mean, you could do crazy stuff like have a self-organizing purse where you know where all the contents are.
Somehow, I am waiting for that one, but yes, and you can certainly have a purse that charges your devices, which would, be a start. I mean, the thing that astounded me as a recent glass wearer is that I'm now running down 2 batteries instead of 1. I mean, as fast as I can, and I think that is like the big awakening about wearable tech. It's like you come home and literally, and there are not enough outlets in my room to take care of what I need to. So on that note,
I just wanted to answer her question, if that's okay,
Yes.
regarding the retail. So I have thought about the retail quite a bit. I see the jewelry wearable hitting 3 different verticals. One is wireless, retail, wireless retail, fashion, so it would be department stores, things like Topshop, and then also other types of departments, Neiman Marcus, maybe Nordstrom's. And then another area that I discovered, I think I discovered, but maybe a lot of people have too, but is the jewelry industry. They have the craftsmanship to make these beautiful things, but now with our technology, we can put that in there and we can wear them and it'd be seamless. And I think that opens a whole new market for them.
And I think what you find at CES and why I love it so much, if you come to our show tomorrow, you'll see Dios, who's a jeweler, who's taken Swarovski crystals, and they put them into earbuds, and they put them into cases. But you're seeing this incredible cross-pollination between industries right now that has never happened before, and I think because of all these building blocks. So with that, I don't know about you guys, but I have a Last Gadget and a mobile apps tomorrow morning. If you Last Gadget and mobile apps on the other side of these halls. Actually, Chris, I think you're there. Are you there? You're there. So if you go back and want to cast a vote for Last Gadget standing at CES, I'm not swaying it, but there you go. And I can't tell you how much talent you're sitting in front of right now, and I'm thrilled that wearable technology is making such a show at this show because we've been plugging at this a long time collectively, and you guys have just broken new boundaries. So thank you all for coming, and thanks to my panel. And it's a wrap from MommyTeq. You can watch it at mommytechsummit.com and on MommyTechTV.com. Thanks.